Welcome everybody to our special board meeting. It's 12 o'clock, we'll get started. So welcome to our special. Judy, you can take roll. And number 3, there'll be no action on number 3. And number 4, board to receive bids for the $760,000 taxable combined purpose building bonds of the school district and take action to award bonds to the lowest bidder. You've got.
All right, is it okay to stand up here? Is this the best place to kind of present from? Okay. I don't know all of you. I'm Andy Davis with Stephen L. Smith Corp. We do financial advice work for school districts. We do bond issues, basically. Bond issues and leases, kind of a one-trick pony. That's all we do. We go all over the state of Oklahoma and do that. So we're after that. We've been with Cherokee for 5-6 years now, maybe. So quite a few years. Been working on last election and then started up after the 2014 election passed. So today we're taking bids, which means we're going to receive bids from banks on the bond we're selling today. We did, as I said, $760,000. It is a taxable bond, which you notice in the name of it there. That's a little bit different. I'll talk about that in a minute, why it's taxable, and we'll kind of go through that. But I passed out a couple things to go before we see the bid. The first one is this spreadsheet. It has really small font, so don't look like every minute, but I'll kind of hit the highlights, kind of let you know where we're at in our bond program and kind of where we're headed today. So on the left-hand side, these are basically our annual bond sales. We normally come out and sell bonds once a year. The different colored fonts, those just had different elections. So we can kind of look at it and quickly know, okay, what bond sale goes with what election. The blue font, you'll see, that ties from your 2014 election. The red font is your 2017 election. And there's a few in green there in the middle. Those are bonds we sold that had some money from 2014 and some money from 2017. So we combined them together in just a one bond sale. And so we did them green, just kind of know those are going together. And this thin black line, kind of in the middle here, everything above that, those bonds we've already sold. So you've sold those, you've either collected or in the process of collecting those property taxes. Below there are bonds left to be sold. These have already been voted, but we just haven't sold them yet. So the first one underneath there is one we're selling today. It's in green font. I made it a little bigger, you can almost read it. $760,000 CP, that's combined purpose, taxable building bonds of July of 2020. So we're taking bids on it today. You actually get the money in July. So based on when you get the money, it's a July dated bond. These numbers up to the right of each of those are the annual property tax collections you collect to repay the corresponding bonds. Even though this is a 2-year bond, you just have one annual collection of property taxes to pay this off. And if you read, it's really small. It says $813,200. So that's the $760,000 in bonds in principal plus the estimated interest cost. We also think, what do we think the bonds are going to sell at today? So that's at 3%. We thought 3% is a little bit high, but we'll be conservative with our rate. The rates come in underneath that. That number will come down some. So anything below 3% will be less than this, unless you collect any property taxes from your patrons. Any questions so far? I know some of you know this, some maybe a little less familiar. And then going forward, so the way these bond issues work, we vote the bond issues all at one time, back in 2014 or in 2017, but we don't sell them all at one time. That's what we're doing. That's what we're selling a little bit each year over a number of years. So we're scheduled to sell bonds. You can see we've got a couple more blue ones left. That's our 2014 election. That rounds out through 2022. And our 2017 election runs out through 2027. Our goal when we vote these series bonds is we vote them to try to hit a certain millage rate or tax rate. Down here at the bottom, you'll see annual levy and then millage rate. These are our sinking fund mills. You're probably a little familiar with mills. You get general fund mills, you get building fund mills. If you have bonds or some sort of debt, you get sinking fund mills. This is a special, separate property tax collection. It just goes to pay off your bonds every year. Our target has been about 22 mills. We've been able to stay kind of close. There's been a little fluctuation. You guys have had some of these big fluctuations in your valuation, not from wind farms, but from
protests.
Protests, yes. And so some of the years it's been a little up and a little down. You can see here we've been the last couple of years, 22, 23, 20. We've been pretty close, and tracking out it stays pretty even. The tough part for you guys with these protests is when a company protests, they don't pay like last year, what they're going to do is they're going to over levy this year. You've probably been all through this before. So my numbers not reflect the exact number. I'm showing 23, 30. If you can track down from the 19, 20 column, it's actually closer to 27. The hard part about that for us is we're selling bonds today. It's going on next year's valuation and next year's property tax collection. So we don't know exactly what that's going to be yet. The best we can do is try to plan to hit that 22, 23 mark and hope for no protests. If they protest, there's really not much you can do about that. I know this was done a while back and maybe she related, but even if we levied less, if they still protest, it's still going to pay less than what we levied. So it doesn't really matter if I levy less, isn't going to change that that millage rate amount necessarily. Plus, you all have obligations with this money. This money's gonna come in and help make our annual lease purchase payments. So we have to sell this dollar amount. So we'll try to get that 22 or 20 as best we can every year. Hopefully, these protest things kind of get, work themselves out the next couple of years, and we can flatten that out a little bit. That's a lot of information, probably too much a little bit. But basically, the crux of what we're doing today, we're taking bids on this bond issue here. We'll get the money in July. When it comes in, sits in your bond for about a month, you're trying to make your annual lease purchase payment with it. And then we'll sell bonds the way it's set now through 2027. Any thoughts or questions on that before I open the bids?
How many bids did we get?
4. And a couple of them are joint bids, so we've got a good amount of interest. So, I did mention they're taxable. I'll go ahead and talk about that now. The reason these are taxable bonds, most school issues for years and years have always been tax exempt. They changed some of the tax laws a few years ago to where if you are going to take this bond money, well, let me back up a little bit. So we talked about this makes your annual lease payment. One of your leases from the 2014 election, you make semi-annual payments. So you make a payment right away and another one 6 months from now. They changed the tax laws where if you're going to get your money, your bond money now, if you're going to hold it longer than 90 days, then it can't be a tax exempt bond. It has to be a taxable bond. So that's the reason it's taxable. One of our lease payments is not due until, I think it's January, December. So we're going to hold it longer than 90 days, so we have to declare these as taxable. The difference that makes is about a quarter to sometimes half a point in your interest rate. So it changes it a little bit. It's not a huge change. So we'll talk about that as we open the bids. But I gave you one more sheet here. If you want to write these bids down, you can. You don't have to. It's just something you kind of want to look at them side by side as I read them off. First one is from Clio State Bank. Clio State Bank. They have a premium of $0, a net interest cost of $28,728 even, $28,728.00, and that gives them an average interest rate of 1.89%. 1.89. Our next bid is from BOK Financial Securities. BOK Financial Securities, that's just Bank of Oklahoma's financial arm they use on these type of deals. They have a premium of $0. Net interest cost is $18,240 even. That's 18240.00, and an average rate of a 1.20%. 1.20. Third bid is a joint bid. It is ACB Bank. ACB is bidding with the Baker Group. That's B-A-K-E-R, the Baker Group, out of Oklahoma City. Just a little FYI, normally when you have two banks bidding together, normally what's happening is the smaller local bank is the one kind of fronting the money for it. There are some costs and registration you have to go through in order to close these bond issues. And for smaller banks that are only going to buy it maybe 2 or 3 a year, it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to go through that process and that cost. So they partner up with these larger banks. A lot of times the larger banks will go through the closing for them, but it's really the smaller banks kind of putting in the money for them. So that's kind of why a lot of times we have joint bids with the smaller and then sometimes the larger bank. Their bid, they have a premium of $7.60, 7.60. A net interest cost of $20,892.40, 20892.40, and an average interest rate of 1.3745%. 1.3745. And our fourth and final bid is from First Bankers Bank Securities. First Bankers Bank Securities. They're out of St. Louis. They have a premium of $38. I'll explain what that premium is here in just a second. They have a net interest cost of $17,442 even. It's 17442.00, and an average interest rate of a 1.1475%. 1.1475. I normally get some questions on what the premium is. What that is, that's money they're going to give you at closing, so it reduces your net cost. If you look at their bid, they actually bid at 1.15%. By giving the $38 at closing, that reduces their net rate to the 1.14. So what we're looking for is that lowest net interest cost or the lowest average interest rate. The premium's kind of a wash to you all. It matters most of what those numbers are. So it doesn't make a huge difference whether you have one or not. A lot of times when it's really small like that, they do as a tiebreaker. If someone else is going to bid 1.15, they throw in a little bit of money, it puts them at 1.14. So that's why they did probably on this one, I guess. So really, getting back to the bids, all excellent interest rates. You guys don't need me to tell you, if you can borrow $700,000 at 1%, that's pretty amazing, right? So that's really good. So, but just a couple things we always want to look at when talking about accepting bids. Number one, back to the bond schedule. I told you we estimated 3%, and we're well below that, below half that. So as far as our millage rate wise, assuming there were no protests, we'd easily stay at or below that 22 or 23 mils. It may be up a little bit just because of those protests, but again, there's not a whole lot as a school you can do about that. You just have to levy what you can levy and hope people pay their taxes sometimes. So that's number one. Back to the bond schedule, we're doing our part to keep our taxes where we can. Number two is just market-wise. We want, even though this is a good bid, does it match up with what other bids are? Is there anything unusual about the bid that makes us think twice about wanting to accept it? I was telling Don before the meeting that I actually thought the bids would be a little bit higher. Most of the bonds we sell are still tax exempt. We do sell a few taxables, about 8 or 10 taxable bonds every year. Most of them the last couple of weeks have been tax exempt. And the lowest bids have been anywhere from 1% to 120 or 130. So I thought if we had a quarter, half point that, we may be, 130, 150, 160 wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities. Just to give you all some comparables, I wrote down a few, I can find my sheet here, of some recent 2-year bonds. These were all tax exempt. So Barnsdall, these were in the last 2 weeks. Barnsdall, they had bids from 113 to 275. Stroud, which was $4 million, is a little bigger, is 108 to 230. Locust Grove was 1% to 110. Here's a little at 143 to 2.7. Here's one at 117 to 260. 113, no, that's the wrong one. 135 to 185. So you can see some of those, even at tax exempt, have been not only where we are, but some of them even a little bit higher.
First banker, did you said out of Missouri?
Yeah, St. Louis. Yeah, and they've been on quite a few deals for years, so they're a big bidder. But so just if you compare to what other rates have sold out here recently, you guys are not only better than a lot of those tax exempt ones, but right there with even some of the best ones. So that has a lot of you guys having local banks involved. Some of these guys don't always bid with local banks, but they look back at the history and kind of know who has bid. And so even when your local guy isn't maybe the lowest bid, it still makes everybody sharpen their pencil and kind of get down to their best number. So I think that's kind of what happened with you guys here. You have a history of having local banks bid, so that helps you all even when they don't get it. They do say in this case there is no best bid, even if we have a local bank and we like them better because they support, we can't take them just because they're local. Take any bid, you got to take the lowest bid. They say money is money in this case. But so in this case, if we take any bid, it would have to be the First Bankers Bank bid. But again, they're a good bidder, a very large firm, bought and sold a lot of bonds over the years, never had a problem closing on them. So I wouldn't have any hesitation moving forward with them. So unless you have any questions, I reckon you accept the low bid, First Bankers Bank. You just need a motion to item number 4.
I'll make a motion to accept First Banker's bid at 1.1475%. Looking for a second. Amber, second. Judy, you can call.
Littlefield,
Yes.
Goodwin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
Number 5, board to consider and take action on resolution providing for the issuance of taxable combined purpose building bonds in the sum of $760,000 by the school district authorized at an election called and held for such purpose, prescribing form of bonds, providing for registration thereof, providing for levy of an annual tax for the payment of principal and interest on the same, and fixing other details of issue.
So item 4, we accepted the low bid. Item 5 is a separate resolution. It kind of outlines all the legal details you have to associate with the bond issue. It actually gives you all as a district the authority to issue the bonds. So you need a motion and second to approve that resolution. Because it's so long, I would say if you want this motion to approve it as read or as presented, I think that'd be just fine.
Any questions? Make a motion to approve as read. Second?
Littlefield,
Yes.
Goodwin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
And if you have like a ton of stuff you need us to
Yeah, we can
sign,
wait till you guys adjourn.
well, it might take a little while because of the executive session. Do you want to go ahead and get that?
Would you want to wait till you get to executive when you break, maybe sign in?
Whatever you want to do. What
It's
do
up
you
to you
want?
guys.
I said we sign now,
Sign now?
get you on.
It's
the
up to you guys. I mean, no hurry, but it'll take 10 or 12 minutes to get through, so.
Are you ready for us? I'm ready to go. All right.
Most of these two, you guys still president clerk, right? Okay. There's 2 copies of them, right? These you probably need to sign here, and then about 3 of all of those, so sign and flip. Same thing, you know, a lot of them.
Do you want to?
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot of information. If some of you, if it ever helps, if you want to understand it a little better, I'd be happy to come back, not in such a formal board meeting, sit down with you guys individually, kind of go through it, and be more than happy to do that. I was trying to just hit highlights and not be too, get too far in the weeds, but I feel like I did a little bit. So it is, there's a few moving parts to it, and kind of sometimes sitting down, yeah, I'm sorry, here, Andrew, yes, man, gold for checks. If either that helps anybody, just let me know. I'd be happy to set that up and tell Donna she can get me out here. I'm happy to do that sometime.
Yes.
Top, you'll spell their whole name, so I get everything spelled right.
I was hoping that the reduction in the interest rate would kind of offset the not collecting enough for the sinking fund payment. And maybe it'll even out, because this year, because of the oil and gas protests, we were about $100,000 short of paying that sinking fund payment for our bonds. So we have to pay that out of our general fund or out of our finances because Mock Oil isn't paying theirs. So not only do we not get it in April, March, April, now then the other side of the coin is we have to pay $100,000 because they're not putting it up in the sinking fund for the bond. Jennifer Roach is gonna come in June and kind of talk to us about all of that, what's going on, where we are with
Pretty good with that.
that protest, where we are with other oil and gas companies
Trying to get the
protesting.
system down and
They're all in bad way.
police are cranked.
Oh, yeah.
Right side, again, there's several copies of each. Distortion, there's two spots, here and here. And got three of everything, so they'll sign and flip the page. Everything's out, top one. There's got three pages of each of those. One good thing about taxable issues, about three less documents you have to sign,
Yeah,
so
right.
really saving you some effort. Usually starts out kind of,
Mine starts out chicken scratch, so I just go downhill fast.
start off slow and taper.
Like a iCat, an iCat battery.
Is Charlie here?
If you need to, but I tried to keep him here for a couple weeks, mow the yard. She's fishing a little bit. You guys are in high farm go mode.
You what?
You're in high farming mode.
Getting ready.
Yeah.
I don't know if I get that boat or not.
Do you just have wheat? Do you,
Mainly.
it looks good.
Yeah.
They all, the fields look really good.
Yeah. Pretty good.
I'm hoping that cattle's so high, maybe we'll be high.
Well, it's still better than corn and soybeans. It could be a little higher. It's kind of staying up.
Thank you guys.
No, you're fine.
Little.
Didn't want to make you wait.
No, I don't.
Good.
So when will we see you again?
Well, and if we're still so long,
That's
it's
in general?
next year.
Oh, it's through the open
And
state.
then come back and it's I've come and visited Donna a few times, and Donna was okay, so.
I know. They set up a new.
She said it helps me to come back and kind of go through some of the stuff in a little more detail.
Do they have any?
Some of the other board members that haven't been around quite as long, I'm happy to do that, so. Sometimes it's hard, I'm just trying to get to the bids, but still give a little bit of information. I was kind of stumbling over myself, trying to figure out what to say and not to say, but.
Sometimes I always
So
say,
if it helps us come in and slow down, kind of really walk through the details, I'd be happy to do that.
A bunch of things.
Just don't miss the signatures.
I don't want to drive back up for one signature, I've done it before, so. You learn that lesson one time, you have to drive 2 or 3 hours for one signature. I did.
Are you guys back to work every day?
Yeah. No, we're the only office. Everybody else is still working. Well, that's not true. Are you guys in the packet? Yes. My back, we did.
There's 2 on this also.
You guys really do too. I mean, that's where it's 3 cows. But yeah.
That's
Get them all?
The bottom.
Huh?
Well, the other two.
She did that last one.
Thanks, Andy.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Sure, and then good help, just let me know.
And I just want to tell you guys that Andy, anytime I call him, he answers immediately and he helps me so much.
I tried.
Some days he says stuff, I'm going, oh, and some days he just says,
We had a couple good ones lately,
We
right?
did, we had good ones.
Better get some wins.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Andy and I first started doing bonds together when I was at Bennington, and the first meeting we ever had, he was like on red alert because he was fixing to have a baby. How old is that baby now?
Well, I can't remember my first, either 10 or 12, so I can't remember which one it was now, but yeah.
It's
So,
hard for me to believe
I
that.
know, it has been a long time, hasn't it, so. I appreciate you saying that, I'm glad I'm able to help when you call,
Oh,
so.
Andy, you're amazing, I appreciate you.
I've got everything signed, sorry to make you guys wait, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, so, have a good day, thanks. Thank you, ladies.
Number 6, proposed executive session to discuss the employment and contract for Jeremy Hickman for the 2021 school year, so that the board can return to open session and vote to employ or not to employ. Executive session pursuant 25 OS 307B1. Members made a motion. All second. G?
Littlefield,
Yes?
Goodwin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
12:26. You all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and read the minutes.
We need to make a motion to
Well,
adjourn.
make a motion to return into open session.
I'll second it.
Amber second.
Littlefield,
Yes.
Goodwin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
Time?
1:42.
In executive session, we discussed the employment of and contract for Jeremy Hickman for the 2020-2021 school year.
Number 7, discussion and vote to approve or not to approve the employment contract of Jeremy Hickman for the 2021 school year. I'll make a motion to employ him for the current contract of 2021. Is there a second? Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes?
Goodwin,
No.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
Number 8, adjourn. I'll make a motion. Or Amber made the motion, I'll second.
Littlefield,
Yes?
Goodwin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
1:43.